So, welcome back for part two of the essence, mystical essence of your energy. Last time we talked a bit about what energy is, and I'm just going to recap that a little bit in case you missed the first one, but also because for some reason it disappeared off our Facebook group page. I don't know why, so I'm back to Zoom. I know that's not necessarily convenient for everyone, but I hope I hope you still join us. So welcome, and just going back to what I discussed last time, that quantum physics tells us anything matter is made up of particles of energy, and this is what sort of creates our blueprint for our reality. The universe really is just made up of waves and particles of energy, and you are part of that, and everything is connected. Our thoughts, our emotions, our subtle energies that sometimes we're not even aware of, and without question, our conscious uh, thinking is always put out into the universe. So it's very, it's kind of in depth, and I could probably just talk to you about that for 2 hours. But the best way to sort of describe it is we have Wi-Fi, and you can't see the Wi-Fi, but we know it's there. If we think back to, I don't know how long we've had cell phones exactly the way they are today, but who would have thought, 100 years ago, you could call someone from this box that's not attached to anything, 2,000 miles away. And your voice, whether it's, on the phone listening to music or a song, those are vibrational waves that translate into a way that we understand. So if you kind of think of our thoughts, our emotions, are like the 500 and something television stations we have, and and like your voice, I said, on your cell phone, it's all vibrational waves, like TV's vibrational waves. When you hear, a song, your eardrum is picking up that vibrational sound wave, and as I said, translating for you. We do the same thing with our personal vibration. We emit that out into the universe. And of course, we pick up vibrational energy of other people, situations, even going into I know for myself, going into certain places, just the collective energy is sometimes more than I can handle. So that's what your thoughts are, your vibrational energies that interact and influence the waves of particles, if you will, that you're putting out into the world. And it's this maze of energy that, again, everything's connected. And as we go forward tonight, what I really wanted to talk to you about is um, leaking energy. And when I talk about leaking energy, it's really giving up that energy. It's having that energy taken from you. Often people will talk about energy vampires, and here's my thing: they can't take your energy unless you give it to them, which we'll talk about another time. But for tonight's purposes, I want you to keep that in mind. So one of the symptoms of leaking our energy is, being tired all the time. And this is not just physically, this is mentally, emotionally, and often physically. We get to, if we're getting to that point where our body is actually affected, in spite of our good eating habits, our exercising, life's draining you, and you're leaking energy without realizing it. And your life force, this energy that you are created, is struggling. So if you can relate to these symptoms, um, you know, this is leaking energy, and this is the byproduct of that. So things like constant worrying, uh, undefined anxiety, sadness, feeling overwhelmed, that feeling of nothing will work out, feeling stuck, whether it's relationships, life, your job, um, anger, helplessness, frustration, feeling like a victim. Guilt and shame are the two biggest leakers of our energy. So, first, understand that our life force energy, as I said, comes from the universe, comes from Earth, if you will. And it's the source of our core energy that helps us in our daily activities. And we use this energy to think, act, complete our daily tasks. The energy, travels through us, and it's constantly, filling us up, and we're constantly emitting. So, how do you protect this life force energy? Is important because we become part of that energy loop. And so if we're not receiving energy back, it's just going out constantly. So sometimes our energy field gets very big. And, I know I can do this. I know I spend a good portion, probably the first half of my life with really big energy. And these are the kind of people that people pick up on your presence before they even really look at you. It's that, person that walks into the office and it's like they've got all this energy. And this is one of the ways we leak our energy because we're putting it out so far unnecessarily. And I say unnecessarily, but it's a survival mechanism that we actually do. That's that we actually, sort of become tougher and create that force field around us. So this is one of the ways we leak energy. The next one I want to talk about is learning to say no. And I know it's difficult, especially, when there's a pattern of expectations that you will do something. I know it's especially difficult if this includes family to be able to say no. And, we're taught at an early age that saying no is not being a good friend or being a good parent or being a good employee. However, this is the most important step to protecting your personal energy. So say no to anything that, well, first of all, you don't want to, but pay attention to the stresses that you feel. Um, are you stretching your, let's say, natural ability to deal with or provide something to someone else? And just trying in small ways, to move away from that. We can say, no, oh, I can't bring dessert because really, you're not aligned with wanting to make a dessert for 20 people, as an example. But you can also qualify that with, I'm happy to pick something up, and you stop by your local bakers and you bring it. Or if someone, needs your help, um, for a doctor's appointment or needs a ride somewhere, you can say, no, today's not good or tomorrow's not good, but I'm available on such and such a day. So we say no, but we don't necessarily have to leave it there. And what we're doing is creating that boundary. We're protecting our energy. We're not giving, but we're also still helping. And it's part of our human nature, especially empathic people, to want to rescue and say yes to everything. When I talk about rescuing, that includes dessert, right? It's like you have to bring dessert, otherwise, dessert's out the window. So you feel this need to rescue. right? So learning to support what it is that people are asking of you, as opposed to just saying yes to stuff you don't want to do. You really don't have to do anything in this world. The hardest part, as I continue, the hardest part with this is, the reaction, especially if you've been a yes person, a people pleaser, and now you're going to start setting some boundaries. You know, people might be a little fickle at first because this is a new behavior for you. They'll get used to it. And, you may have people fall out of your life because you're not constantly feeding your energy to them, which is okay because maybe they're not meant to be in your life. And if that's the case, they're not in full alignment with you if it's a continual give, give, give situation and you're not getting anything back. So, we talk about no, but this is also, part of setting these boundaries. And think of it this way: you would protect your home, you would protect your loved ones from whatever you have to protect. It's just as important that you protect yourself and protect your energy like you would them. So it's about having a balanced approach to our relationships, situations, work, whatever your case is, and having that balanced approach where you kind of meet them halfway. And again, if they have a problem, that's their problem. It's not yours to take on. So you take on only as much as you comfortably can. So don't overextend yourself for people, especially if it's in hopes and the expectation they'll do the same for you. Because if we're constantly giving, chances are you will not get back. This leads to disappointment. So not only are we only affecting our energy, we're lowering our vibration because of how we're feeling. So to say no in a balanced approach is helping you establish boundaries. Boundaries don't need to be looked at as a negative thing or creating isolation and separating yourself. It really is a matter of having self respect for yourself. The other thing I want to just touch on before I move on to the next one with boundaries, often, I talk to people about boundaries, and this is an important lesson that a friend of mine, Jen, brought to my attention a few years ago, and I don't even think she knows she did it. She got me thinking. Often when we set up boundaries, it's like we create this force field. I liken it to a brick wall surrounding us made of cinder blocks. This is not setting up a boundary. This is disconnecting. This is isolating yourself. What we want to do, and I liken it to a chain link fence, right? You can still see through, you can still communicate, but there's that level of protection, that chain link fence, that allows you to stop and step away. So try and think of your boundaries as a chain link fence. What can I do? What can I pass through the fence that is helpful and still, firmly respect myself and do things that are in my alignment? Yeah. So moving on, the other thing I want to talk about, this is really important. I feel this in my office space that I sit in constantly if I'm not careful. My office is really used by three of us. My daughter working on her PhD. My son sometimes comes up here and works. So it can get really cluttered really quickly. Glasses left up here, papers not put in recycling, whatever it is. Clutter is huge when it comes to leaking energy. So clutter in our house, in our cupboards, even if we can't see it, we know it's there. It's traps our energy and it blocks that flow. So even if things are expensive and you don't use them, give them away. what's the point of having things that don't bring you joy and happiness? So whether it's gifts, linens, clocks, whatever, if it's of sentimental value, take a picture or place it somewhere that you can go to time to time, but take it out of your space because if it does not create a high vibration, and if your room is full of stuff, stuff people have given you and you feel like you have to keep, don't. Let your house be your sanctuary. Let it be a place of positive flowing energy. Otherwise, we're not filling our energy back up. If you leave your house and leaving behind a place of clutter that's always on your mind, it comes to mind the second you walk in the door. It's like, oh, I haven't done this. I haven't cleaned up that. So keeping on top of your clutter is really important to help the not only your energy, but the energy, because it's all over, it's everything, is it keeps that energy flowing. And when that energy is flowing smoothly, there's almost like this constant refresh, right? And with that, your ability to create what it is you want, if you want to call it attracting abundance, or whether it's that or restoring your own energy to a place of calm, filling yourself back up. The movement of energy removes that stagnant, heavy vibration. And it's been actually seen scientifically that decluttering actually improves our health, which I'm just going to throw another little point in here. Our vibrational energy is who we are. And if there's stuff surrounding you and it's worked its way into your thoughts, it's worked its way into its emotion, it will eventually work its way into your physical body. I have a volume, I'm just looking at it. It's about 3 inches thick, double-sided print, and it's not big print, of different chronic ailments that we have as humans and what the energetic cause is of those energies. Just quickly, myself, the knuckle on my right thumb sometimes has, what's been diagnosed as arthritis. The fact is, when that starts aching, I know, and I check myself, and it's proven right every time that I'm thinking too far into the future and I'm thinking about money. I'm not one to generally worry about money, but I do, pay attention to those certain times of the years that's more expensive, like Christmas. And, when I had to pay tuition for my children, we had 2 months, March and September in our family are very expensive months because it's like if they weren't born in March, they were born in September. So, it's like twice a year we get hit with these expenses. Yeah, I budget for it, but there's always that thought, oh, I've got to do this. Is there going to be enough money for it? I have to, I have to, right? So keeping in mind that when my thumb aches, I know I've been in that headspace. And, this book's fascinating. I use it with my coaching clients all the time to help bring them in alignment with themselves a little bit more. So, okay, the next one, addictions, letting go. I don't care what the addiction is. I mean, there's obviously alcohol and drugs, but look around. We're addicted to a lot more. We're addicted to food. We're addicted to technology. We're addicted to attention. We are addicted to finding love. We are addicted to, you name your vice, whatever it is. We're giving our power away because all our thoughts, all our energy is going into the addiction. So we're weakening again that life force energy, our energy. It's being pulled because our thoughts are going into the food, they're going into the technology, they're going into whatever. So if you're not able, honestly, here's the test for you. If you're not ready to deal with your innermost emotions, that's why there's an addiction. Addictions are a symptom of an emotional issue, most often some kind of trauma in the more severe instances. If you are not able to sit on your own quietly for even 15 minutes and not feeling uncomfortable because you don't have your phone, don't have food, don't have alcohol, can't light a cigarette, trying to think of whatever they are, chances are you are panicked about what will come up and how you're going to deal with it, which is in relation to the trauma or that thought that's repeating in your mind. So, and this is a time where I'm just going to sort of, I'm not a medical doctor. Um, I'm not a therapist in any way. But I think if you find yourself in this place of addictions, there's also a great lack of self-love there and respect for yourself and body. So consider, consulting with your doctor, getting some kind of help. If it, even a spiritual coach or an energy coach can help you. Often this energy that we hold on to related to the addictions is very hard for us to let go of because we've taken it on as our own. And it's very hard to let go of someone else's energy that you're holding. And that's speaking from experience. I held my mother's and my father's energy. I'm sure I picked it up, when I was still in utero. And I think I've, passed that now with the help of Reiki and my own work. So pay attention to what causes you to reach for those addiction. Take some personal lessons, I guess, or do some reading about inner child healing or energy healing. Whatever feels right for you. I think that's important, and I want that for you. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about pulling back your power. So taking our power back from everyone and everything really is what I've been talking about all along, but let's talk a little more specific. So when we take our power back from others, for example, if we're in a codependent relationship, or a narcissistic relationship, or just an unbalanced relationship, we give away our power because we feel, in some cases, they know more than us. Or we give up our power because we feel the need to protect ourselves and pacify them. So it kind of works two different ways here. One, because they've made you feel like you're incompetent and stupid, or two, you're protecting yourself from potential backlash, right? So somehow we're not going to find love if we leave this relationship or joy unless we deal with our own energy first. And sometimes we don't even realize we're, sort of connected with those energy vampires in our life. Here's one way of knowing. If the relationship does not bring you joy, does not fill your heart, does not raise your vibration, the only thing it can be doing is lowering your vibration. staying in these relationships, and this just not is not only our other halves in some cases, this can be our children, it can be friends, it can be your next door neighbor, all kinds of things, all kinds of relationships, sorry. Um, so we have to be able and willing to look at those relationships in an effort to start taking back our relationships. So the other thing is meditation. I'm all about meditation. 15 minutes, 5 minutes a day will help you pull back and gain power into your energy. Meditation is not meant to be difficult. Meditation really is just being quiet and focusing on yourself. It's pulling your energy back in. And this is why we focus on the breath, right? Because it's going into your body, out of your body. Getting a grip on your emotions through meditation can help you see the bigger picture and can often help you let go of the unnecessary thoughts in your mind. Um, and I'm going to also mention here, and this is something I've learned through my own counseling just recently, which was like, oh my God, what a godsend to come to this realization. When we are in an emotional state, so if we are in an unhealthy situation, an unhealthy relationship, there's emotions attached to that. And our instinct is to think, how do I get out of this? How do I fix this? What do I do? The fact of the matter is, as complicated as our brains are and as amazing as we are as humans, we can't actually think clearly when we're in an emotional state. So meditation offers you that opportunity to let go of the thought and just feel and deal with the emotions, feel those emotions, clearing, calming, relaxing, pulling back those scattered emotions. And definitely, meditation, that those thoughts are still going to come up, and pacify your ego who's delivering these thoughts. Tell it thank you. You'll deal with it shortly. And that's the end of that. And you come back to breath, always back to your breath. Prayer is also the intent to meditate. That for me, I see them as one and the same. So to ensure that you're pulling the universal power or the universal energy back into your body, doing a 10-minute prayer, if you will, or meditation, especially before sleeping, is beneficial, and it helps us to sort of surrender those problems, because in the quiet of night, we're a little more able to let go. Granted, it's there first thing in the morning. One of the tricks you can do with this, to help with your energy, help with boundaries, help with everything we've talked about, is going into that state of meditation or prayer and just be open. I always start with, what is it I need to know today? Sometimes nothing comes. Sometimes I spend the whole half an hour just on my breath. And then all of a sudden, I wake up the next morning and boom, it's there. So I also believe we night learn. And when I talk about night learn, this might be a little too woo for some of you, but I truly believe we leave our body, um, not necessarily all the time, but often, in sort of an energetic sense. And we check in with our source, and remember or receive some wisdom or insight that we wake up with in the morning. I have practiced the what is it I need to know for many, many years. And I will tell you more often than not, I can't say it all the time, but I'd like to say it all the time. By the next morning, I wake up and have my answer. And it's that moment I wake, become conscious, I have my answer. Now, whether or not we choose to act on our answer is a different story because then our fears come into play and ego gets involved again, right? So, a soothing nighttime meditation, and I'm going to suggest not a guided meditation, but a meditation of just the music that calms and relaxes you. And, maybe even puts you to sleep and just surrender those thoughts and give yourself an opportunity to resolve what it is you need to resolve and be open to what comes. The other thing that I want to talk about, and again, I might be pushing some boundaries here for some of you, but I'm a firm believer in past lives. There's certain relationships, certain things that have happened to us, or things that we had done in past lives, and we bring them into the present life, and it's part of our experience in this lifetime. And so often we struggle with what's wrong with me? Why does this keep happening? Rather than sort of stepping back and looking at that big picture of observing your life instead of participating in it, which is really another sort of way of stepping back, almost like in a meditative state, and just observing your life, not getting caught up in the emotions. And if you're dealing with a particular situation, it might take you 15 minutes to explain to a friend what happened. Try and get it down to 1 or 2 sentences for yourself. And this will help you see, really the core issues. They made me feel this emotion, or they triggered me in some way, or any of those things. And sometimes, as I said, it's past lives. And we, have to just consider how it gives us an understanding in this lifetime. So, our energy is our essence, it is our life force. And I hope some of these things I've talked to you about tonight help you recognize how you're leaking your energy. And I will say again, people can only take your energy if you let them. So consider using some of the things I've talked about, the techniques or suggested, to lead a more energetic, healthy, and definitely a balanced life with not giving it all up. We have to stop rescuing and start supporting. Hey, Joanna.